Hey everybody, I am Chuck Rogers. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Keith Dunn, and I'm a network engineer.
And a wonderful one at that. And together we are Tabletop Coffee, where we talk about how to do life.
Do it well.
Being bold and never, ever.
Never, ever bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and hey, we would like for you to subscribe to our channel and ding that bell so that you are notified of upcoming episodes.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So what are we going to be talking about tonight?
Tonight we're going to be talking about setting limits with other people, teaching people how to treat us, using your voice to ask for what it is that you want. Because if you do not make a request, you do not have a right to complain.
Okay, let's dig into it.
Stay tuned. We'll show you how it's done.
So tell me what you're thinking about we talk about tonight.
We're in our new setting again here.
Oh, it's great.
371 Oakdale Circle in the upper room.
We are in the upper room.
We are. So, when I purchased this building, with it, I inherited a tenant. The former owner said, "Do you want to keep this tenant on?" And they told me what they were charging her, and they were kind of giving her a deal.
Yeah, almost just giving it to her.
Yeah, for more than 1,000 square feet of commercial property. And I said, no. Yes. They said, can we give her 30 days? And I said, oh, absolutely.
Right.
So then you and I came over here to go through the building before it was even demoed, the other part of it. And we met my tenant.
Yeah. And walking in her space, I thought that as they were demoing the front of the building, they were just moving all of that stuff into her space.
No, that was her.
I know.
Those were her treasures.
I know. And there were some treasures there.
There was a lot of treasure in there.
Yes.
And it was just full and overfull, and it smelled musty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I was like, and then she says, can I have more time? I need till June 15th.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
You were so gracious that day to do that.
Yeah, I was trying to be kind and trying to really be kingdom oriented and be nice to this person, And you and I were trying to see the building. And so, I gave her till June 15th to get her belongings out. And there were just a lot of belongings. Then intermittently I would check back in. I didn't see any of the belongings leaving, and was getting concerned that June 15 was going to
come and go,
and these belongings would still be there. This is all new to me. I've never rented space to anyone before.
Right. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, and there was no paperwork. There was no lease that she was in. There was no lease that said when she was supposed to leave. So you and I talked about what do you do with this?
Right.
So I did some research, and then you and I talked about the research. And in Virginia, it appears that you give a 21 to 30-day quit notice.
Right. That's right.
And it says, hey, you need to be out within 21 to 30 days. And so I waited until close to the 30-day mark, and I didn't see movement. So I delivered this quit notice and wrote it all out, taped it up on her door, and took pictures of it and texted her pictures and said, hey, you have this notice from me on this door. And she said, okay. So I had confirmation that she had received notice that she had mail taped on her door. And I taped it over the crack in the door, so you'd have to remove it to go in.
I remember that process. I remember you going through that.
Yeah. And
it had to be tough to go through. How did you feel when you were doing that?
Horrible.
Yeah, I bet.
Because you don't want to kick somebody out or say, you're basically rejecting the other person. Yes. You can do it kindly. You can paint it however you want to paint it, but you're rejecting this other person, saying, I don't want you in my life, in my building.
Right.
Yeah, it's a business thing.
Sure.
But still, it's a person.
It is.
On the other end. And so that was really tough for me to do. So I did it, and then, it didn't go well. was over here in this upper room space doing some work, and I hear someone say, "Who's up there?" And I said, "It's me, and it's Chuck." And I hear footsteps coming up here, and then the reply from this person was, "Why did you do this to me?" And I said, "Do what?"
Right.
And she said, "Why did you do this to me?" And I said, "Do you mean the notice?" And she said, "Yes." She said, "This is on my record now." And I said, "No, it's not on anybody's record." And so the fear button was being pushed.
Sure, it
from
was.
other video, fear button, dream and conflict.
Right.
And I said, "No, it's there's nobody has record of this except you and me." And this dialogue continued for a while. And I said, it just documents our relationship and when it ends. So finally she understood that I hadn't done anything with the court. It was just a document from me to her.
Okay, so she thought it was a legal
She
binding.
did. She thought it was a legal binding document that I had gone to the court. The court had delivered this.
Well, that could be frightening going through something like that.
I think it was scary for her.
Right.
And finally I convinced her that no, it's just, I've seen it, you've seen it, that's it.
Okay.
And it doesn't involve legalities until June 16th. And she finally said, "Oh, okay."
Right. Which was the agreed upon date anyway.
It was. And then she asked if she could have more time. Was there any wiggle room in that? And I said, "No, we need to stick to June 15, which was our verbal agreement like 60 plus days ago.
Sure.
At that point. And still, I didn't see movement right away. And then I saw a little movement, and I saw a little movement, and then I saw a moving truck.
Yeah.
So then, I was overjoyed when I saw the moving truck.
Right.
I sent you pictures of it.
Yes.
And so then, June, what's today? Today's June 17.
Yeah.
And so June 15 was 2 days ago on Monday.
Right.
So Friday night, I think it was, I got a text from this person, and she says, "How clean do you want this room?" Because I had seen on Friday when I was over here, it was like almost all gone. I mean, it was just, but there was stuff everywhere.
Right.
Still debris. And I said, "Well, I would like all debris to be removed.
Right.
I would like it to be vacuumed. I would like all surfaces to be cleaned. I would like the toilet to be cleaned. I would like all sinks wiped out. I would like the shower wiped down, and all surfaces in the kitchen wiped out as well."
And that's not too much to ask.
No. And the reply was, "Okay, I'll take care of that on Monday," which would have been June 15th.
June 15th.
And on Monday, I woke up to a text from 10:34 p.m. on Sunday night, on June 14, and it said, "The area has been cleaned."
Okay.
So then I came in and checked it out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I sent you pictures and videos
You did.
of the difference on June 15th, the very last day when I came in. It was immaculate and even smelled good.
Yeah.
She had done just a phenomenal job of following through with
She did.
what I had asked to do.
Going through that process, what do you take away from the entire experience?
Oh, a lot.
Okay.
I practiced what I preach with regard to relationships, because I believe that we teach people how to treat us.
By the questions and the language that we use?
Yeah, the questions that we ask, the language we use, the limits that we set with people.
Limits. Right. So expand on that a little bit. The limits. How did you determine the limits that you needed to use in this circumstance?
Well, I wasn't sure, and so I talked to you for one thing.
Yeah.
I think you never make impulsive decisions if you can avoid it. I've made some really good impulsive decisions in my life that have turned out well. I think twice, because usually you make impulsive decisions, and later you go, "Oh my gosh, what was I thinking?"
Exactly.
So I try to get prayer, thought, and counsel around it. Spend some time thinking about it, praying about it. Talk to important people in my life, and I ran this by you. I ran it by Kim, my wife. I talked to some other people about it, and everybody was really on board with you. You've got to set some really firm limits. And I knew that, but it was like, you don't want to take advantage of somebody. You don't want to hurt them.
No, you don't.
But I just knew that June 15 would come and go if I started wiggling on this. And so
Right.
you were like, yeah, Chuck, you've got to set some really
You have to
firm
do it.
limits. So I got set some prayer around it, some thought around it, got counsel from people that I trust, and did some research to find out what's supposed to happen in Virginia
Yes.
in regard to a tenant, even though she wasn't officially my tenant, but kind of was.
But I tell you what, you talking about that and going through that process of talking to me and Kim and praying about it, I think about that in my life as well. And not just on setting limits, but it's always nice to be able to take that time, give yourself that space instead of turning right around and saying, all right, look, you've got to leave this building, instead of handling it that way, because a lot of times we want to just be done with it and not have to go through that process.
Yeah, get impatient.
Yeah, make it short and sweet. Well, maybe it's not so sweet, but short
Rip
anyway.
the Band-Aid off.
But giving yourself that space and taking that extra day or 2 or 3 to sit back and think, okay, what is the right way to do this?
Yeah.
And also to bounce it off of other people, because
helps a lot.
everybody sees the situation in a different way.
They do, yeah.
And seeing it from different angles, it allows you to build what you need to present that well.
It wasn't comfortable.
Oh, no.
It was just acceptable. What's acceptable? Right. And I really knew that I would kick myself in the butt later on if I wasn't firm.
Yeah.
I was kind every step of the way, but I was also very, very firm in what I wanted. Then, came the other question she asked again, how do you want the building left? And part of me was kind of like, well, you've done so much already. I'm just grateful that it's moved on. But I thought, no, this is.
She's been in this space.
I've not charged her any money whatsoever for 2 months, more than 2 months.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm going to teach her how to treat me, and I'm going to make a request, which goes back to our request ranking video about how you would like things to be.
Yes.
And I made it very clear what I wanted. It was very doable. And she said, okay. And then, she was incredible and followed through. But, you don't have a right to complain for that which you have not asked.
Right.
And I asked, and I would have only had myself to blame. And if I would have said, I think you've done enough.
Sure.
I could have done that. I was a little tempted to, but then I would have been in there cleaning it up.
Or you would have been paying someone to come in and do that for you. That's right.
But under the circumstances, I made it clear, and she followed through.
You did a great job with that.
Oh, thank you.
I am so proud of the way you handled that.
I'm very grateful.
So thank you for coming to another episode of Tabletop Coffee, where tonight we talked about a lot of different things.
We did. It was kind of neat.
Yeah. So if you had to encapsulate all of this into something short and concise, how would you put together what we talked about tonight?
Yeah. I would say, first of all, things are going to pop up with other people relationally. It's just going to happen from time to time. I think that you have to make known what it is that you want. We teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
So you use the voice to let them know what it is that you want. You let them know what it is you want in observable and measurable outcomes so that they can be successful, so that you can have what it is that you want.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Boy, that is so helpful. And we'll put all this in notes down at the bottom in the description, so you'll have all of this information. But boy, I tell you what, just following that type of a pattern and a lifestyle can be so beneficial, not only to you, but also to them, because they know where their limits are and they know what needs to be done by a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and you can set them up actually to be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for
and
listening
going
to me.
through that as well. That's amazing. What a great outcome.
It is, as John Acuff says, if this too shall post. So if you're going to go through something, make sure that you share about it.
So be sure and subscribe and click that bell to be notified of upcoming episodes and videos that we put out.
And make sure to like it.
Yep, share it with your friends.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time.